Hi, I'm Richie Mackay.
And I'm David Bolt, and you are listening to the Wrong Bias Podcast.
And on show 42, we have our Commonwealth Games review. Is it thumbs up or thumbs down on the BBC coverage? Is Jet Set Willie set for 2026 games? We have a bit of PBA chat. And we touch on another games that has gone under the radar. As always, thanks to our sponsors, XX20, Lean2Succeed and Is Bowls. Right, here we are again, mate. Show 42. Our anniversary, believe it or not, is Jasper. I call it Jasper, so it's quite ironic that the only Jasper that we know, or that I know, is Jasper Carrot. And he's from Birmingham.
What's the anniversary?
Jasper.
What's Jasper like?
Jasper's some kind of gemstone, mate.
Is it?
But I've called it Jasper just for the sake of this podcast. So I can get the link in with Jasper Carrot and Birmingham, and then the Commonwealth Games. It all falls into place like by magic, mate.
Yeah, never heard of that one before, anyway.
Anyway, it's very much going to be a Commonwealth Games theme. We're going to just have a quick review of how the games went from the home nations and what have you, pick a little highlight out. And I think we're going to have a bit chat about the TV coverage and mention a couple of other bits and bobs. So, mate, first of all, there was one piece of news that broke pre-Commonwealth Games, which we never got around to mention. And I did feel sorry for Gary Hood not being able to take part in the Commonwealth Games. I know there's legal proceedings or whatever you're concerned now about it, but I think the moral of the story is just be careful of what you post on social media, mate, isn't it?
Aye, it was sad to read. You're right, what you're saying. Obviously, we don't know what the ins and outs are, apart from obviously what we've seen posted. But really sad for Gary, because for everything he's come through and done to get back in the team, for him to miss out in that way. I just hope, in a lot of respects, it's not one of those hindsight the wrong word, but that whole thing of dealt with it better, and they could have handled the situation better. I mean, it was a harsh it seems a very harsh punishment, but you've just got to be careful what you put on social media. Because it's we need a lot of people need to understand now that it's a criminal offence to post some things on there, and it can be used against you. And this is why personally I'm not a huge fan. I don't use it that much for a personal. Really sad for Gary, and hope he's obviously all right. Former guest of ours, and you never know, might be able to get him on at some point and just see what the ins and outs of it were.
Once it's all settled down and what have you. Just going on to the Leamington thing, I thought the setup looked great, mate. I know we're going to touch on it a lot more later on the show, but I thought the setup looked great, mate, and it looked well supported.
No, the support, phenomenal. To be honest with you, the support in England for this one, as far as the stands, etc., were concerned, was better than Australia, without a doubt.
Good.
Yeah, it's every single day from what I've seen. Obviously, some sessions are a little bit quieter, but the majority of the home nation sessions were chocker-like, which was great to see.
Yeah, and of course they got the weather for it as well, didn't they? I think there's only possibly one rainy day, maybe, if that.
I mean, I think it rained a little bit, but I think they said they didn't even bother putting the jackets on. It was just a light shower or something.
Yeah.
You couldn't ask for anything better, really. Really, really good. And it's been a great showcase. And obviously, again, we'll touch on it later, but one of the latter games for me was an absolute barnstormer of promotion for our sport. Yeah,
without a doubt, mate. We'll touch on that one. And just briefly touching on that, there was one camera shot that tickled my fancy somewhat rotten. The sight of Andy Thompson and Ellen Falconer there in the Australian jackets, sitting in the middle of all the Aussies are all cheering, and the two of them, you sort of sit there and said, didn't really want to be there, did they? They didn't know whether they couldn't really, cheer or not, because obviously the ex-England mates, I know Ellen has won things with the two girls, but I just thought they didn't want to be there.
Must have been a tough situation for both of them, but I suppose in a lot of respects, you look at it at the same time and think, well, should we be letting those players go and take them positions up? We should have them ourselves.
Possibly, yeah. There was one thing I don't know whether you saw the little clip that Jason put on about it with his little interview with the mascot. He was sitting there getting interviewed, and the mascot ripped the card out of his hand and chucked it away, and anyway, Jason says, never work with animals and children or something like that. Anyway, the mascot's come back and said, never work with announcers from Manchester, Jason.
Class. I hope he didn't have a little hissy fit.
He's sort of stunned, mate, stunned. A little bit closer to home, mate. Qualified, obviously, for Leamington in the triples. County title again, mate. Well done.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
great, but obviously now we'll go on to the news. Now we'll go for the update now, because in the background, you'll not know it, but there will be the Casualty theme tune will be playing away on this podcast for the next 30 seconds. Do you want to tell me, mate, why you're not going to Leamington?
Oh, man alive. Gutted. Absolutely gutted. Time would never say never, but it's looking to very, very slim chance. But stupid little thing. I've never really had a major injury that's causes any issues of playing bowls in probably all the 30 or 34 years that I've been playing. And stepped out of my house the other day wearing a pair of sliders, and my foot slipped and I've gone over on the left hand side of my left foot, which is obviously me weight bearing, and that's a lot of weight to bear, I'll tell you. The weight bearing.
Not as much as it used to be.
The weight bearing foot. So I've gone over on the left hand side, I've smashed the bone, I've torn the ligament, and I need to go in hospital and get it screwed back together. So gutted.
You're going to rename your sick note.
Oh man, absolutely gutted I am. So I'm sitting here as we do this with me foot up on a cushion, and it's pretty painful. It's all bruised down the left hand side. At first, I just thought I'd done the ligaments. I genuinely thought it might be just, I didn't even go to hospital. It puffed up. I had half a tennis ball on the side of my foot. I thought, they'll only tell us to go home and ice it and
peas on.
Which I did straight away. But next day got more and more painful. I went in, X-rayed it, and the guy in the X-ray turned around and says, "I think I might be seeing you again because I see." He says, "That's broken." Like, I was like, "Can it be?" He's like, "No, I'm pretty sure." He says, "I think that's broken." And I got a phone call the next morning from the fracture clinic, and they said, "Can you come in straight away?" And it's not good. So better get that done. That could be me out for 6 to 8 weeks if all goes well. But to be fair, I asked the question. I says, "Got national finals in 3 weeks' time. What do you think my chances are?" And he just went, "None."
but what's my chances of going down to play?
I says, "Look, all right. I know we usually get beat." Asked a few questions around what I did, and he basically said, if I was you, he says, I would get the operation, because he says the injury that you've done, he says, it'll just continue to cause you further problems down the line. So he says, I expect the specialist to have a look at it and confirm, and we'll get you in ASAP and get the old Black and Decker out and stick us in one of them workmate things and tighten the wood up, and stick a couple of screws in. I'll be laughing.
The old Mikado set out, mate. I'd say unbelievable. Well, I hope you're going to be fit for the PBAs, mate. I know that's the sum in October, so hopefully 6 to 8 weeks you might all go on well. That'll
be my target, yes. Like I say, when you think about it, it's going to be rolling right into the indoor season, so just to hope it repairs quickly so I can hit the boards running as quick as I can, because obviously indoors is a little bit more technical than outdoors as far as practice, and that's needed. So bit of a down spot this week, but never mind.
Move on, mate. Move on. In your absence, we've been out live streaming. 40 hours of second-rate live streaming we've been doing. Bowls Durham Championships.
Well, you have, mate. I mean, unfortunately, I've had a few Bowls England. Well, not unfortunately, but I've had some.
You've been playing, mate. So you can tell who's the better player between us, because I've been streaming since probably July. You've been bowling. I'm streaming.
I always feel awful when people come on there and say you're both doing a great job. I'm thinking they're playing, but the coverage has been tremendous, mate. You do a fantastic job as always.
Second rate. And didn't why did they put cameras on players' reaction to watch the balls go up the green? Twist.
I saw that comment. I saw that comment.
I replied to it, then I deleted it. I said, I'll be the bigger man. I just put noted.
I must admit, I did see your reply, and I thought this is Richie normally telling me to not put those.
I know.
Wait until I see him, and I'll give him a little crack on the back. We've said it before, man, for God's sake. We're not the BBC. Crikey, you're in there doing it all in your own spare time.
Right, mate. It's been a small competition taking place, as we all know, the Commonwealth Games at Birmingham, and Leamington Spa's been the home of the lawn bowls. From the home nation's perspective, England picking up 7 medals.
Very good.
2 goals in the triples. They must be happy with that, mate.
Aye, definitely. I mean, it's always easy to say it's expected because they're on their own greens and in our own conditions. You could say the same about obviously the other home nations as well, but on Leamington, where you're going to have the majority of support, and I would imagine they'll have been putting a lot of time in on the rinks as well.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
I mean, great performances. You know, some great stuff that I watched. Poor Sammy, just the goal eludes him.
I know. Aye, I felt for him. Like I did. I think they drop a 3 against India in the semi-final last end.
I just gutted for Sammy, and Jamie did what he needed to qualify, getting enough shots against Malaysia to get through. I thought once he got through, he might have a little squeak, but to be fair, the Australian boy Aaron, he's a good player. Like he is. Yeah,
and I know he beat us. Seeing the final against Gary Kelly, Ireland's Gary Kelly, and to be fair, he didn't have to do I know it's going to sound crap, but he didn't have to do a great deal to beat Gary in the final, because I didn't think Gary got to grips with the rink at all, really.
It takes some doing. Like, he's obviously back to back now, and he's a good player. So the big shock, I watched the game, man, and Ian McLean played tremendous against Bester.
Without a doubt, mate.
I mean, it's easy to say Bester wasn't at the races at all, but at the same time, Ian McLean absolutely just put him to the sword every end, and that's all he could do. Yeah. And Ian's a class player, but you'll not see Bester getting beaten 21-4 many times.
No, not by many at all, mate. Not at all. Scotland won 3 para goals.
The para team absolutely excelled, didn't they?
Yeah. Alex and Paul got a bronze in the pairs. Will they be a little bit disappointed, and possibly the fours as well going out in the quarters?
We know them both have been on regulars. At the end of the day, they're as competitive as they come, so without a doubt they'll be. And again, especially it's on their type of patch, sort of the greens, etc. is concerned. So of course they'll be disappointed, but at the end of the day, everybody cannot win, can they?
No, not at all.
The thing with Alex and Paul, they've always got the bullseye on the back. Everybody just lifts that to a bit.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned to Ireland's Martin McHugh and Ian McHugh gold in the fours, repeated 24 years ago in Kuala Lumpur.
Is that right? Is it?
Yeah.
24 years ago.
Yeah, fantastic when you think 24. I think that's possibly his 7th Commonwealth Games, I think, for Martin. Great. Wales picking up three medals, 1 of each. Obviously, the Australians would be absolutely delighted with 3 goals and 3 silvers, mate. You did tip them in the warm-up event.
Well, I was, you know what it is? I was more concerned about the results that were coming through from the Australians, because in the warm-up events, you'd expect them to be our home nations to be giving them a bit of a scud. And the class players, I'm not being derogatory in any shape or form, but totally different game for these, for them coming over here. And it was mentioned a lot in commentary about how it's just draw or whack. But even the draws over there, the draw arc's just not the same. If you got the balls, they hold a lot more over there. They don't bend as much. And in fairness, there's been a few people twisting and moaning about the TV rinks that we use, that they're a little bit tricky. But if you got the right lines on them, you give them some green at times. But that was me sort of concern initially. And again, it just shows the complete and utter professionalism, all the groundwork that goes in, the team behind them and everything, that just gets them to that ability to be able to come over here and play on our greens. Yeah. And we go over there and play on theirs and probably don't have the same results.
We did highlight that 250k that they invested in the bowls thing for the Commonwealth Games. It was a 6-figure sum, and we thought, if you come back with 1 medal, you'd be saying, was it worth it? But come back with 3-3. Got to be worth it, mate.
Without talking about wages and things like that, you're not going to attract your Andy Thompsons and your Alan Faulkners unless you're paying good money to go over there and take those positions up. So they've just got everything placed to basically set up the elite level of what they need. And this is where we touch on to the. I'm presuming we're going to touch on this match anyway, but that women's pairs game for me was probably one of the best televised games I've probably seen.
Yeah.
As a competitive advertisement of the sport, with all of the right aspects chucked in, with all of the bit of stardust about 4 young girls playing against each other, performing at absolute top level. I mean, some of the ends were just phenomenal.
Tremendous. I mean, fantastic.
They were just tit-for-tat all the way through. And then you had Amy, who was outstanding early doors. And to be fair, I thought the 2 Australian girls must have been thinking, how on earth are we, was it 11-2 or 11-3?
11-2, yeah.
They must have been thinking, what have we done wrong? I hate to be 11-2. And it was purely nobody playing badly, but Amy just playing some big conversion balls. But there was always just the thought, if these Australians maintain their level and there's a dip in the English, then there was always the possibility they were going to get back in, and so it proved. For it to go down to the last ball on the extra end, for the shot you play to play the ball, I was gutted for the 2 English girls. Obviously, love Sophie Gates, Amy, absolutely top player, but what a ball!
But to hold her nerve to play that ball, and all, I know she'd won the singles, which was a fantastic achievement. I mean, I've seen an interview with her after the singles, and she come across really good, like I must admit. But
well, she's a young girl, and obviously has got an absolutely massive future ahead of her. You know, it was just something went through my head during the game, and I thought to myself, you know what it is? This lass was down in the singles as well. I think she was 16-12 down against Lucy B, So she was 16-12 down against her, and obviously came back to win the game. So our character and our fight was obviously there. And I just thought to myself, if she gets a sniff of winning this, they've got a battle on. And obviously they got back into it. And it was one of those bittersweet moments, because you look at the English girls and you could see there was obviously disappointment there. The best thing I heard on the Commonwealth Games, and to be honest, I wasn't even watching the TV, and I just heard one of the presenters or somebody who was co-presenting or a guest on the thing turn around and saying, yeah, so I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to get over that lawn bowls game. It's just when you get in other sports commenting about lawn bowls, that's exactly where we need to be, because I've been there where I've heard other sports talking about us at Commonwealth Games and talking about us as if we're trash. Shouldn't even be. So that was great to hear. Really, really great to hear.
Yeah, as you say, it was a fine example of the game, and it was promotion of the game was fantastic. All 4 players. They didn't deserve to be a loser, but fair play to the Australians, like I must admit. Doff me cap. The other 2 countries I was going to give a quick mention to: India, getting a gold and a silver. They have had a lot of investment since the Delhi Games, mate, and starting to see a few results now. So fair play to them. And
it's just shows if you put it in at the bottom level,
you get it back. Yeah, exactly. And Guernsey, we have mentioned earlier on, Lucy Bay, first for 28 years, tremendous silver. Could have easily been gold.
It's the talent. There's probably bucket loads of talent in every country. But you've just got to, money makes the world go around at the end of the day, and you've got to fund it. You've got to find them. You've got to coach them. You've got to get them drilled without any issues or worries or anything like that. And we'll continually produce top class bowlers, but there's just a bit of a gulf in difference between some countries and others. That's the difference.
The other highlight which I'm going to pick on is one of the para bowls. I think it was the Scotland Wales, the restricted vision final. I don't know whether you caught it, but I tell you what, I was engrossed in that. It was some of the balls that they were playing, mate. It was just great, absolutely great, considering the eyesight's not the greatest and what have you. I just thought it was great to watch. Like
it is, and obviously that was the one with the string up the centre, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
The string obviously just gives them that clock face sort of point of where they need to be aiming, things like that. And it is great to watch, you know. And you look at the Scotland 75. I think one of the guys was
Caroline Renton, I think it was.
75 and 76, and it was good to see. They got interviewed after, and they just turned around and, you know, the comments were really good ones that you want to get out there. Just don't let age be the barrier. Get out and play the sport, which was great.
Thing, mate. On the green itself, they had that Commonwealth logo on.
Yeah.
Now, I would use that as a guide. I thought that they were you, because you'd have a rough idea. You just needed the point of one of them signs and what have you. You knew you were close. Do you think it should have been on or not?
Yeah. I mean, for me, you go across to Australia and there's lines all over the green.
Yeah.
I've seen loads of comments from the Australian social media page, people saying, "Where's all the lines on the green?"
Oh, where's the lines up the middle? Yeah.
Well, you know, when we were over there, I was doing the same thing. I knew that if I was just a ball outside one of the lines running up the green, that you generally there or thereabouts, unless you got a gust of wind and then you were 6 foot tight. But no issues with that at all. And if you use that as a guide, then great. But,
it's there. I suppose it's there for all of them, isn't it? Right, mate, TV coverage of the Commonwealth Games. By heck, has this divided camps. The BBC were criticised at the early stages for the lack of coverage. There were 3 platforms. You could go on the mainstream, the red button, or the iPlayer. Yeah. Now, I think if bowlers thought that the bowls was going to get loads of coverage on the mainstream channels, I think you were living in cuckoo land, because it was never going to happen. Not open else. BBC want instant sporting moments. They're not going to sit there for 2.5 hours or whatever it was to wait for the moment. The red button was getting people frustrated because it was getting advertised that the bowls was on the red button. You would go on and cycling was on, and you'd go on another channel and cycling was on that one as well. But the one that I found the best was actually iPlayer. I thought we got decent coverage on the iPlayer. So for the criticism, I think, yes, they deserve it in some places, but it was there for the iPlayer. The only confusion was you had to look around to see where it was.
Well, I totally agree with Richie, and I've seen some of the complaints. I think we've had some really good primetime coverage on a morning when there's been some of the finals been going on, which has been great. They've talked about it on the sofa when it's gone back to the presenters, and they've talked about some of the historic moments. Amy, Guernsey.
I move on.
28 years since she'd won, and they mentioned that, and then they gave a talk about Dan Salmon and Jared Bring obviously winning that. So that was taught, and it's just, I agree with you. I mean, do they ever look and think to themselves, how many times have you seen badminton on there? I haven't seen much badminton on prime time at all. Table tennis, I haven't seen a great deal of that.
No, weightlifting and what have you. Table tennis,
I think there's a fair share of what's been available to show.
Yeah.
I think the coverage has been great. And I think a lot of the complaints were why we're not showing England. We're in England.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of other countries there as well.
Yeah.
If England get to the latter stages, I've no doubt they'll be on the TV. And lo and behold, when we get to the final matches, it's like, oh, there's England on the TV.
Yeah.
So,
as you say, I think we've done canny. And the thing that I found more remarkable was that people were criticising Bowls England for the TV coverage. And I'm going, well, hold on. Bowls England put everything in place for this Commonwealth Games. It was short planning it was 4 years. It was our chance. Yes, it was our chance to shine as a sport. It was a big push for it. And yes, I'm sure they were as frustrated as everybody else that they didn't get the coverage that they wanted in the early stages. But like you say, it did improve later on. But the TV coverage is down to the organisers. They pick whoever's going on, whatever. And there was mention, well, why not streaming onto YouTube? You kind of do that because BBC bought the rights to to the event. They're not going to palm it out onto YouTube.
The Commonwealth Games, Richie, have got the ultimate the Commonwealth Games organisation is the ultimate decision maker. Yeah. Nobody else has got any control over anything. I've seen people who've had their phones confiscated because they've gone in and were streaming. I think it was Jersey or Guernsey, one of the two. Somebody was in there with a phone streaming the matches. Lo and behold, Commonwealth Games got a hold of it and basically remanded the people who were doing it. I think, and were basically checking people's phones or whatever it was. A bit of common sense has got to be used. There's sponsors all over the place. So if you go on there and you're live streaming, and basically the Commonwealth Games have got a responsibility to obviously promote every single sponsor that have contributed to all these games, and you're streaming and you've only got one of them sponsors in the background, there's going to be hell on.
Yeah.
And these are the intricate little things that people don't grasp. It's like us talking about streaming and then they put some music on, they cut us off.
Yeah.
I can't believe your signal's crap or you've been cut off, blah, blah, blah. No, well, no, it's not because of us. Because there is, if you've got a world where Facebook in all of its entirety and how big it is, they're watching every single little thing and have spotted little old Wrong Buyers Bowls podcast with a little bit of music on in a Manchester Park or in a Horton Bowls Club.
Yeah.
Then Commonwealth Games it's worldwide. It's like they've got so many things that they've got to basically make sure is absolutely on point. Otherwise, they will be hit with an S storm at the end of the day. And it's just, God, this world, man. Everybody just wants to twist and whinge all of the time. Be thankful of what you get. Yeah. There's nothing you say. There's nothing you do. No. You can write as many Facebook petitions as you want to say, we haven't got more. They must just think, oh, sorry, Joe Blogs. I'm really, really sorry. I tell you what I'll do. Get on the head of the BBC. We've had this guy on through Facebook, mine. I'll tell you, this is going to be any. He has come on through Facebook and he's got 25 followers. And I'm telling you, if we do not sort this out, there is going to be hell on tomorrow. I want Buzz on 24 hours non-stop. Come on,
he's put the emoji on with the little hands in his head. That sealed the deal.
And I'll tell you, there was an angry emoji on there and all. I'll tell you,
we better do something. We got an emergency meeting.
And I know we've been flipping about it, but it's like, and I know there's a lot of frustration. It's nice because people just have got the best interests of the sport at hand, but it's like, just use some common. It's not as simple as let's just put loads of balls on the TV. It's like, be thankful of what you get. If we've had the chance to watch some good balls, I think it's really promoted the sport in a really good light. And yes, it would be nice in an ideal world if we were like the athletics and you were getting 6 hours of coverage every day, but we're not.
No, we're not.
Yeah. Like you've just hit on the head. You're never ever going to get a Ailish McColgan moment in bowls.
No,
that for them is just like gold dust.
Yeah,
Super Saturday in the Olympics when Mo and all of them won the gold medals all in one night. It's quick hits. People get engrossed in it, and that makes good TV.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I was just interested in what you said there, but did they allow cameras into the Commonwealth Games? Do you know? There doesn't seem to be many photos have come out. Obviously, you can take photos on your phone, but as in, if you took your camera in,
I'm sure, Richie, there's criteria in place that there is no streaming, and they've obviously got all the professional photographers. You saw them on the screens; they're all over the place. I don't know the full ins and outs of it, so I'm not even going to go there. But I think there is a lot of restrictions as to what you can and can't do.
Was there? Right.
I'm almost positive that I saw that Jersey was streaming, because somebody had made a comment saying, thank God for Jersey being able to watch some live ball. And then the next thing I saw was that basically
kicked out, going out collar, chucked out by the collar.
Pretty much they'd been told if they did it again, they'd be removed from the venue. And I think this has a lot to do with why there was morning and afternoon sessions, and everybody got kicked out after the morning.
All right, in the morning session, right.
You couldn't just sit around and wait for the afternoon session.
Come on out, you go now. Come on out.
You had to queue, and then you had to come back in again for the afternoon session. So there's a lot of control and a lot of, I think, there's a lot of security and everything all around it. So
you were listening to the Wrong Bias podcast. You can catch up on all our previous episodes via our website at wrongbias.com. Right, mate, just moving away from the Commonwealth Games quickly, and the PBA. They've had a great response to the new formats. September, October, there's 17 venues, 27 dates, 15 are sold out. They're covering the Scottish International Open singles, the World Singles Open, Pairs Open, under 25 singles, and a ladies match play for the first time. Qualification for that as well. The response has been great, mate.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. It's we've mentioned it a few times. Don't need to go over it again, but it's just grown and grown from something that was literally on its backside, and a few key changes have happened. A lot of people behind that. Talked to a lot of them, and we know there's a few key places there that have been very responsible for that. But brilliant. I cannot ask for any more, really. And it's just great to see people getting the hunger back of trying to get the WBT circuit back to where it should be, and the fact that there's been more competitions introduced has been the big thing. And this is why ultimately people lost faith in it, because what was the point of trying to qualify for something that ultimately you would pretty much have to win to break into the top 16? It was you get your TV appearance, but a lot of people was like, is it really worth chasing about to do all of that? So now that you've got 3 or 4 opportunities to gain points, and I think the biggest thing now going forward is seeing what the turnover of the top 16s like over the next 3 or 4 years.
I think so, yes.
That'll be another big stepping stone for a lot of people, because if that starts to happen and those opportunities are there and people see that there are, then you'll be looking to get your booking in for some of the qualifiers. They'll be snapped up as quick as the USC used to be snapped up.
I think it's great the way the sport's gone on it. For anybody who wants to enter the events, you can go along to the worldbowlstour.org website and click on the entries. I think there's an entry page, qualifier dates and what have you. Tells you how many places are available. But like I say, there's 15 sold out of the 27 dates, so it's a great response. And of course, we're going down to Solihull to stream the one in back end of October. I know there's a few local ones that we might, if given the chance, we might double our tours in with a little bit streaming, but we'll see. Right, as we mentioned a while ago, the Commonwealth Games is actually looking to freshen it up. And obviously there was a question mark, possibly over the bowls, because it's been one of the blue ribbon events for many years. We only missed one Commonwealth Games, 1966, because they had no greens available. Been very lucky that bowls has been back in now. But now the Commonwealth Games has gone up to 19 sports. And I had to shake my head when I was watching this, mind you. Demo sport. ESPORTS. Do you know what ESPORTS is, mate? The computer. Sit and watch people play computer games. And that apparently is going to be nailed on to be included in the 2026 Games at Victoria. I watched it today. All it is was the last two lasses playing what I was thinking FIFA football, right? They both picked Bayern Munich for the final. One was in red, one was in white. Exactly the same players on the thing. And I'm going, so this is going to be included in the Commonwealth Games. You're going to get a gold medal for this. And I didn't want to offend people who obviously do play these kind of esports games. But I mean, I didn't think I'd see the day when Jet Set Willie would be in the bloody Commonwealth Games, mate. What's the ideas?
Paperboy and Sonic the Hedgehog, eh?
Huh? Sonic the Hedgehog in Commonwealth Games.
I didn't know. It's just the new world we live in. And it's like, I hear my initial thought as you're talking about that is like, there's a heck of a lot of money kicking around in FIFA and all of this, isn't there? So if they, I don't know, it mightn't be that.
Right, we'll park that one for a little bit. Do we need to freshen bowls up in the Commonwealth Games? We used to have sets that went back to the 15 ends. The sets probably lasted about the same time, maybe it's a little bit shorter. I'm just thinking the lines of the rugby sevens, that's quick and snappy. The athletics, obviously, the cycling, the swimming, they've all got them quick, snappy moments, whereas bowls is sort of like 2.25 hours from start to finish.
I personally thought the sort of duration and the amount of ends was about right for me. I mean, when you think about it, you've got T20 being happening during the Commonwealth Games. That's it's still.
Didn't get us on about the cricket being back in.
It's quicker, but it's not that quick. You've got hockey, four quarters of hockey on there. So those type of things. I think there's place. It's like we're just saying about the quick hit sports. They're the ones that's going to get a little bit of more coverage because that's where you get your fast medals coming through. But like we've always said, there's a place for the longer format sports as well. And I don't think shortening hours is particularly going to make it any better.
No.
I think I think when you watch the games, watched that pairs the other day, I thought it flew over.
Oh, so I think it did. Yeah. I must admit. There was two other things as well. Background music, I didn't mind it. Apparently it was too loud early on in the competition, but and it got turned down a bit. But there was loads of complaints about the background music. It's just something new, man.
It shows how much I noticed because
You probably didn't notice it, did you?
I didn't even know there was any. Genuinely didn't even know there was any background music.
No, and I think it's good. It just kills it. It sounds daft, but it kills the silence. And the other one is one thing that possibly does get the BBC's back up about covering bowls is just they kind of get the angle. They can have 50 cameras there and we'll still get people standing in front of the head. There was times on main TV where all you could see was the backs, and I could hear in my head, but I haven't done the stream, and hearing somebody going, find another angle. We didn't want to look at backs. I didn't want to look bloody balls. And
they generally did, didn't they? They ended up tweaking across to one that was halfway up the green on the angle, so it was watching. Obviously. And now you're right. How many times have we said it? And if the BBC can't get it right, and where you're getting grief for people doing it in hours, it's like it all comes down to the professional side of the sport as well. It's like we've just got a lot of people who just aren't used to it because they've never had it, and it's
maybe we mentioned it earlier on about the having the line up the middle of the green, and maybe that helps the Australians because you know that line, a yard either side of that line, you keep clear. Maybe that helps them over in Australia because they don't seem to stand in front of it a great deal over the Australian side. You are listening to the Wrong Bias podcast. You can catch up all our old streaming events at our YouTube channel at Wrong Bias TV.
Just touching on one other thing that I attended, we've talked a lot about the Commonwealth Games, but I don't think I've mentioned this to you. Have you ever heard of the Transplant Games?
I haven't, no, mate. No.
So a week on Saturday, I was down at the Transplant Games at the John Charles Centre in Leeds. Right. Never ever heard of it before. It's been running for 43 or 44 years, I think it is.
Right.
And it is multiple sports around one venue, and it's for anybody who's had a transplant throughout the year. And do you know what it is? It was absolutely just awe-inspiring again. We talk about the paras at the Commonwealth Games, but there was people there who'd some hadn't even picked a ball up before. They just thought, oh, I'm going to give balls a try this time, so they were going on the green. And then there was others who'd had kidney transplants or whatever. And then one of the ladies who came in, her husband had sadly passed away, but 7 of his organs had been provided to 7 of the competitors who were actually, don't know whether it was specific to the bowls, but it was seven of the organs were provided to competitors playing at the transplant games. I've never heard of it before, and you question,
no, I haven't heard it.
You question why. It's like this again is just not, it promotes exactly what our sport is all about. You've got people there who've gone through life-changing operations and playing in a competition, and just a great day all round. And I was privileged to mark the final. And I just thought I'd give that a little bit of a plug as well, because there's a lot of these things that just don't happen, and I think they certainly need a little bit of promotion as well.
But I mean, I never say nothing in the media about it, so it's, obviously that's one aspect that probably needs to be addressed, I think.
Definitely. I mean, I certainly said that, and I've fed back to work that the Bowls Development Alliance will certainly support it again in the future. I think it's in Coventry next year, but anybody who's interested, certainly go on and just put in transplant games in Google and have a good look at what it's all about. And another great sort of promotion of our sport.
Yeah, great stuff, Matt. Well, there we go, mate. Show number 42 over and done with. A little bit Commonwealth Games chat. Congratulations to everybody who took the medals. The Open Singles Circuit for 2022-23 season, they've announced all the dates. There's 21 events. Entries is not open yet, so get yourself on the AIBA website and have a little dabble in them as well. Bowls England have been doing a lot of work as well, mate, with Let's Play Bowls promotion, which I think you've been involved with a little bit.
Yeah, I've been doing the seminars for the last week. So the new Play Bowls platform that has been created by Bowls England, which is a really, really good thing. I've had the training on, I've looked into it and presented on it now, and for me is a massive step in the right direction for the sport. We've needed something that can attract families like it does in tenpin bowls or crazy golf or whatever it is, where families will not even think twice whether they like golf or whether they like bowls. They don't think twice about going to tenpin bowls as a family and having a night. And so the Bowls Bash is huge new branded format of basically a new format for new bowlers coming into the sport, but can obviously be played by existing members as well. And it's based on a 3-2-1 format. Closest ball gets 3 points, 2 points, 1 point for the second and third ball. 2 sets, 5 ends, very quick, very fast and fun, and you can have a little bit of a power play in there. So feedback we've had from the seminars so far, the clubs that have signed up have all come back and said absolutely love it. You know, they've had people coming to the clubs and trying it for the first time, love it. Their own members love it. So anybody who is interested, get yourselves on and have a look at Bowls Bash. But the Play Bowls platform, fantastic. I mean, again, it's something I've said for a long time we've needed. You can book onto a golf app and basically look for a local golf club that have freed up a couple of slots. So you can actually, you don't have to be a member, turn up, pay 25 quid and go and have a round of golf on that particular golf course.
Yeah.
Very similar with the Play Bowls platform. Club goes on there, registers all the details, promotes everything good about the club. Have you got a bar? Have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got the other? Anybody who's looking to play bowls for the first time goes to the Play Bowls platform, has a look at the clubs in their local area, go on and they can literally book a rink at that club. My initial thought was, how do you man that? How do you cover it? Because at the end of the day, our clubs aren't open all of the time. So anybody who's got that doubt straight away, what it is basically you open up the rink space for when you know you're going to be at the club. So if you've got a match on at 6:30, there's generally somebody down there from 5:30. Open up your 6 rinks for an hour before that 6:30 game. And, you know, anything between £2 and £5. The recommended price is like £5 per person per hour. People will be going, oh, people will not pay that. This is exactly the feedback that people have come back and said that would be prepared to pay outside of the sport. Because we've talked about it before, when you're in bowls, people twist and moan about 5 pence going on green fees. When you're outside of the sport and you don't give a monkeys about what the politics are and what it's been for the last 75 years at your club and you've been chairman for the last 435 years, blah, blah, blah. People are prepared to pay £5 for entertainment for themselves for an hour. Yeah. And it works hand in hand with the Bowls Bash because they come down, they get the branded stickers, predetermined spots, so there's no messing on about setting jacks up and all of that, and it's just really, really positive. And for me, I think it's a huge jump in the right direction. You know, I'm critical of some things for me, this has got great opportunities for bringing in resource for clubs, promoting the sport in the right way, and is exactly what the sport needs. So all I'd say on that basis is get yourself on, have a look at the Play Bowls platform, have a look at what Bowls Bash is all about, speak to your club.
Do you think it's more likely to get a response from private clubs?
Personally, Richie, there's clubs in your own club, for example, down by the coast where you're getting a lot of footfall. Whitburn, one of the clubs that I worked with in the past, right on the coast. Those type of clubs where there's people walking past all of the time. Once people start to get an understanding, it's not going to happen overnight, but it's universal right throughout the country. So Bowls Bash is branded and everybody will follow that brand. It's not something that you can just, I'll just adapt that myself and I'll use our own scorecards, blah, blah, blah.
Aye.
It's got to be something that every club buys into, but the rewards and the ultimate promotion of what it'll do for new people coming into the sport is huge, in my opinion. I think it's great. And it doesn't matter whether you're private or whether you're council. I think for me, the councils, once they get made aware of obviously what the potential is, would jump all over it.
Yeah.
Because their ultimate thing is they want more people playing the sport and might just think twice about handing the clubs back if they're seeing 20, 30 different people coming to the club on a daily basis just to have a game of bowls.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's what we need. I think we've seen a massive upturn since COVID. I think we're starting to see more families coming down. The perception for me is always going to be there, long term, but I don't think it's anywhere as bad as what it used to be. And people watching the Commonwealth Games and looking at the participants and what's been going on, I think potentially starting to look at the sport in a different light.
Yeah.
Now it's up to all of the clubs to
pick the baton up and run with it.
Pick it up and run with it. Instead of criticising, look at the benefits of what it brings, and it will do nothing but good for the sport.
Yeah, and as you said in one of our podcasts, might be one of our early ones, didn't come back crying when the shutters come down in your clubs because you're done now. You sat out on your backsides.
And Richie, always referring back to that one thing that you always say, change is an ugly word, and it always has been.
Anyway, just ending on a lighter note, mate. Back to the Commonwealth Games. I was watching the men's diving. Them budgie smugglers is getting smaller, mate. I said to the missus, I've blown my nose on more material what they're wearing. And she came out with an absolute classic, mate. A classic line is, they mustn't have much to put in them.
Every time you hit in that water, it can't be getting any bigger, can it?
It can't be, no. So all I'm saying is, mine are double XL, love. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, mate, it's been a great chat. I hope people enjoy the podcast. It's nice to get back onto it.
Hopefully, we'll get some of the Commonwealth medalists on the next show. I'll see what me
get your black book to work.
I'll see what my agent's prepared to pay to try and beg.
Agents. Right, thanks for listening, folks, and catch you again.
Take care, Al.
If there's any subjects you'd like us to tackle, just drop us a line and we'll get our teeth into them.
Thank you for listening and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.